This is the most insane Street Fighter video I will ever make. In this video, we're going to be covering some of the most polarizing events of the Street Fighter games and the community that surrounds it. We'll learn about the infamous people, the horny decisions, the update that broke the entire internet, all in this video. For a few seconds though, if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. That's enough of my shilling for now. Let's kick it off with number 10. Number 10, the most hated man on the internet. Did you know that Street Fighter birthed one of the most hated content creators on the entire internet?
And being honest about Evolution 2005, this is an event that for many people they thought was highly controversial. I'll explain why.
The name of this man is Darkside Phil, and he has a hater base so rabid, an entire growing community has been built around criticizing his every move. Before you feel any sympathy, know that the reason Darkside Phil gets hate is because of his rampant abuse of his own fans and his viewers.
By the way, I'm going to say this right now. Everyone shut up about someone being banned in the chat. That's not what we're here for. I'm trying to talk and learn to interact with you guys about stuff this week. And, oh, someone got banned. Did you hear you got banned? Oh, he's banned. He's banned. Shut the fuck up. Can't do anything. Shut the fuck up about the fucking bubbles before I take away the bubbles forever. Find that man, find his fucking tag on PSN, and I give you permission to spam his fucking inbox with enough nonsense so that he never fucking is able to do anything ever again.
Plus his past misbehavior from when he attended fighting game tournaments or played games online. Literally everywhere he went, this guy was a total piece of shit. Let's just say it like that.
I guess I would agree with you with DSP.
Yeah, my boy.
Because what DSP does, like in person he's all nice to me and shit, but and then when he makes a YouTube video, he thinks he's all hard and crap.
I think like Jaha and like Watson were like looking for him if he ever came down to one of the Evo events or something.
Yeah, so like he was like, I heard he was like crying and everything, so that was pretty funny.
You know, I pretty much, to make a long story short, I pretty much just fucking told him, hey, you fucking lost one match, you're gonna fucking pay him fucking $10, and fucking, you know, just scared fucking him shitless until he fucking, you know, he paid the fucking like $10 or whatever to fucking shady him. Then we let him fucking leave, and then he fucking got the fuck out of there with the quickness, you know. And it's funny because he just like talks so much shit on the internet, but when you run into him in fucking person, he's just fucking, you know, turns white as a ghost.
Absolutely nobody likes this guy, and for good reason. He's infamous for making excuses, whether it be lag, scrub tactics, or the all so famous I'm pressing buttons.
Can't do anything. I was pressing buttons.
Huh?
I was actually trying to throw, so I didn't get a tech and I didn't get a fucking throw. I got nothing. The entire round was because I couldn't fucking do any moves online. Wow, dude. These archetypes of these mid-range characters with crazy dash cancels all play the same. He plays the same as Ken, plays the same as Juri, plays the same as Jamie, plays the same as fucking Chun-Li, plays the same as Cammy. They all play the same. They're all the same character.
If you want to learn more about DSP, there's plenty to find out about him on the internet. It's a crazy rabbit hole to fall down. There's more than just Street Fighter. This guy literally lied to the government because of a mobile game addiction. I'm not even fucking joking. That's true. If you ever dig into it, consider yourself warned. Number 9, Seth, the fighter without gender. In the later years of Street Fighter V, Capcom made the announcement that it was going to be bringing back fan non-favorite Seth from Street Fighter IV. However, there was something very different about Seth this time. Seth's earlier appearance looked like they had the body of a male, but in Street Fighter V, this was changed to a body that resembled a female's. The canonical reason for this is because Seth's mind was implanted into a doll unit, but many people wondered what Capcom's reason was for this. Quite a handful of people were not so sure about this change and felt that Poison was the best representative of a transgender Street Fighter character. Capcom officially responded stating that Seth isn't transgender. They clarified that Seth actually has no gender identity. This would officially make Seth one of the first agender Capcom characters in history. After some time, people really started to like the new Seth, especially the new moveset. After being initially hesitant, Seth admittedly grew on everyone, including me. I actually main Seth in Street Fighter V, and I used to hate him so much in Street Fighter IV. Seth is now a favorite character of many fans, as opposed to the last game where everyone unanimously hated him. Talk about an overhaul, am I right? Number 8. Blind. At the end of the English dub of Street Fighter II, the movie, there is an incredibly funny scene where M. Bison drives up to Ryu in a heavy-duty truck. As Ryu turns around and jumps toward the truck, the movie abruptly ends and the credits roll by. Blind by the band Korn is a song that plays during the sequence. The song is the introduction to the self-titled album where the band made their debut to the world. And another fun fact, the Street Fighter II movie was many people's first exposure to the band Korn. The generation of people who saw this movie at the time it came out were glad to have this music in the movie. But this would go on to puzzle later generations of Street Fighter fans, especially those who would go on to associate Street Fighter with rap and EDM. The Street Fighter II animated movie also features the song Them Bones by Alice in Chains and Israel's Son by Silverchair. This was apparently common practice for Japanese animated movies when they were localized from Japan to the US. This was done to broaden the movie's appeal in the West and make it more relatable to Western audiences. As a massive fan of Korn, I have to say when I saw this movie for the first time, I was really shocked. It was genuinely the last place I expected to hear Blind. Now I feel a lot less out of place putting heavy metal music when I talk about Capcom games. Oh god, it's her. Why is there a Metal Gear reference in every
Pitiful scum, destroy!
Number 7. Armika's scrapped animations. During the development of Street Fighter V, Armika had a super move animation that was completely hidden away after the public saw it for the first time. Right before the Street Fighter V beta came out, Armika used to literally slap her rear if you won a match using her critical art. This came along with another change that removed camera angles that focus on showcasing the nether region of various fighters, and some very hyperactive chess physics on characters like Chun-Li. For some months, people had speculated why exactly this change was made. Some believe that Capcom looked back and decided it was in poor taste. Others believe that Capcom was doing it because they had accidentally upset the ESL, who had reservations about broadcasting a fighting game with sexualized content. Capcom eventually came out and publicly addressed the slappening. They said that director Yoshinori Ono wanted to remove it because they felt it would make some players, quote, uncomfortable. Yes, it was apparently not the esports world breathing down their neck or any social justice warriors rampaging on the internet. Nope. Big man Ono apparently went back on it. It should be noted that Yoshinori Ono, the man who enacted this change, is known to have a crush on Armika, so many still question whether this reason was truly earnest or just a PR card. We may never know the full story, but now we can comfortably play Street Fighter V knowing no self-inflicted spankings will plague your screen. Number 6. 8 frames. Around the time of Street Fighter V's launch, a professional player by the name of Snake Eyes publicly complained that the game had too much input lag to play seriously. Snake Eyes elaborated that this would make competing in professional Street Fighter stressful and not very enjoyable, and went on to quote, 8 frames of input lag.
You mentioned Zangief, right? And
Zangief.
Of course, in Ultra, everybody knows your Geef, and I mean, when they think Snake Eyes, they think of Zangief.
Yeah.
How's that working out for you in 5?
It's not working out at all right now, to be honest with you. Like, basically, PS4 has 8 frames of lag natively outside of playing online. So offline, it has roughly 8 frames of lag. It would have never occurred to me that having an extra 4 frames of lag will make so much of a difference as it does as far as reacting to certain things. Now, keep in mind, like Zangief, he gets put into positions in Street Fighter V to where he has to constantly react over and over. And I get bodied on PS4, you know? In the Capcom Pro Tour, I'm doing really not so great. I'm doing okay, actually. I'm just doing not as good as I really want to do, you know? So that's my problem. That's one of my problems.
When this interview got out, a large sect of the Street Fighter V player base laughed and made memes about it. However, as the game lived on and more people were playing it for longer and longer, it became obvious that Street Fighter V did in fact have a lot of delay.
During the Topanga TV stream, Koichi Sugiyama, who is one of the main producers of Street Fighter V, stated that the 8-frame input delay in Street Fighter V was actually intentional design choice.
The previous game, Street Fighter 4, had only 4 frames, while it was later confirmed that Street Fighter 5 had double that. This prompted Capcom later in the game's life to incrementally patch out more and more lag as the game went on, and now on PC, Street Fighter 5 actually has around 3.8 frames of lag, less than Street Fighter 4. What the community saw as an excuse for poor tournament performance turned out to be a massive issue that plagued the game. To end this on a happier note, Snake Eyes eventually made a massive comeback later in the game's life and started doing way better in tournaments, and he's now a very well respected player in the eyes of the community.
Get that trigger. There it is. Okay, you got it.
Oh my god, what a Ricky Omega.
Representing the parry. There it is. Get the pull. Oh, that was so consequential.
Jump jab.
Bear witness to the next great collapse of the human mind. Logic has been lost, hunted down at all costs. This is the movement line. Induce the cancellation.
Number 5. Chun-Li's battle for equal health. During the development of Street Fighter 2, the development team based a lot of the game's balance on the physical aspects of each character. The idea of a character's strength determining how much health they had came up, in which the head designer for the game, Yoshiki Okamoto, actually wanted Chun-Li to have less health than everyone else. Here's the quote. "You know how each character has a life bar? At one point, I wanted to make the power gauge for Chun-Li shorter than the other characters, because women are not as strong. But another developer didn't want to do that. We both had legitimate reasons, but then we came to an agreement not to make it shorter." Other designers piped up and pointed out Yoshiki's idea that they did not believe women could be as strong as men, and refused to make such a change. So as a result, Chun-Li came to Street Fighter 2 with the same amount of health as everyone else. And if you're curious, Yoshiki's perspective on women has since changed since Street Fighter 2's development. He firmly believes now that women can be just as strong as men. Unfortunately, it seems the female characters weren't saved from our next fun fact though. Number 4. Yuri's tights. Good fucking god. Also during the era of Street Fighter V, once again, Capcom announced some new things that were going to be added to the game. One of which was a cinematic story experience, a first ever for the Street Fighter series. The other was an entire line of new DLC characters coming to the game, one of which was Yuri Han of Street Fighter 4 fame. But she was massively changed during the transition to Street Fighter V. Alongside some moveset and mechanical changes, Yuri now wore a tight jumpsuit, which was unzipped so she could be boasting a large amount of cleavage. This, much like Armika's butt slap and the many other sexual shenanigans that plagued the game, caused a small uproar in the fanbase. First, the game was having these sexually distasteful things happening during development, and now people were shocked to see them continue after Capcom had to go back and fix it all. It's like they can't stop, man. And go back was what Capcom eventually did, as they decided to alter Yuri's design to be more ESL friendly. Weirdly enough though, Capcom chose a very counterintuitive way to do so. They decided to cover up the cleavage with latex, now leaning Yuri farther into the dominatrix personality. And this is how we have the Yuri Han that we have today. That is until Street Fighter 6 reintroduced the jumpsuit and, interestingly enough, decided to go with the pre-censored version. So if you badly want Yuri cleavage, there you go. Just go buy Street Fighter 6. It's really hard to get a gauge on what on earth Capcom is even thinking sometimes, man. Number 3. David and Goliath. Much like Darkside Phil, Street Fighter also birthed another infamous personality, who to this day draws the ire of many players, possibly more than Darkside Phil himself.
Your life literally is as valuable as a summer ant. I'm just gonna stump you. You're gonna keep coming back. I'm gonna seal up all my cracks. You're gonna keep coming back. Why? Because you keep smelling the syrup. Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now. Because what are you here for? Kill yourself. I mean that with 100%, with 1,000%.
Fucking disgusting, ass smelling, blob, cheese drinking, Crisco bathing, lard gargling, calorie thieving, cabbage patch face having, Dr. Robotnik looking, Wingstop eating, fuck!
Often cited as, I didn't come up with this by the way, the Black DSP by Street Fighter fans and his army of trolls, Low Tier God is a man who frequently comes up as a bad apple from the FGC. He has a habit of pissing inside of water bottles, writing erotic fanfiction featuring him and your mom, and starting fights with and losing to people who are literally half his size. This is the brief story of Low Tier God versus Viscant.
What's going on YouTube? Back at you with another video. This is Low Tier God.
Viscant is a legend from the Marvel vs. Capcom side of the FGC. Is it Viscant or Viscant? I swear to fucking God, I've heard it so many different fucking ways. And he's actually previously squared off with our buddy Darkside Phil in the past. In 2014, Low Tier God bumped into Viscant in an online match of Street Fighter. LTG would lose and as a result, make a video about why gamers don't get laid, using a picture of Viscant as an example of said gamers who do not in fact get the hanky.
Spending way too much time gaming. How many times have you had intentions of only playing a game for an hour to look up and about 3 or 4 hours have passed and you forget to do anything else? You forgot to shower, you forgot to eat, you even forget to take a piss. Keeping up with those habits continuously will have you looking like this guy.
The irony of LTG himself being a gamer, yet making this video is apparently lost on him, but the beef wasn't lost on Viscant. Viscant then fired back by calling LTG the Black DSP, which further intimidated him and prompted him to start labeling Viscant as a racist. A quick aside, I don't think LTG genuinely thinks this remark was racist. I think he's more offended by the fact that he's being compared to Darkside Phil. I think he was playing the racism card just so Viscant would leave him alone, and you'll see in a little bit that LTG really does not deserve to play the racism card. The feud built up to a local money match at the WNF tournament that same year. An interesting thing about this fight is that Low Tier God actually had way more supporters than Viscant and was seen by many as the underdog when this fight was happening.
It's the first game. Game one. Without a problem. Game one. Okay, they're like hyenas in the background. Everyone's got advice. That's right. Everyone's got it.
But nobody is here to coach Viscant. What is up with that?
Despite potentially being the more mature person in this exchange, Viscant was somewhat seen as the villain during this match, and many were rooting against him. Alex Valle even declared LTG to be an up-and-coming fighter because at the time, LTG showed a lot of promise. He was showing up to a lot of tournaments, and despite being well known for making excuses all the time, just like DSP, he was actually pretty decent at Street Fighter. However, Viscant would end up pulling up the victory in that Street Fighter 4 tournament, which was a game that he didn't even play regularly, unlike Low Tier God. And right away, Viscant gave LTG the biggest embarrassment he would ever experience in his life.
And here is your winner. Give it up to San Diego's Viscant.
Look, I played like trash, but look, let me tell you why I got so mad at you. No. This is real. This is real. Look, what I do in my spare time, I work 2 jobs, but what I do in my spare time, I volunteer with Father Joe. So what that is in San Diego, that's a homeless outreach. I help people get off of drugs. That's what I do in my spare time. So you saying that all I do is play video games? You saying that I'm on meth, that I do drugs? No, seriously. Fuck that. That's bullshit. Oh, I got one more thing to say. So, there's going to come a point when you forget about what happened, and you're going to want to come back at me, and you're going to want to wash the taste of my dick out of your mouth.
In an effort to claw back any sense of victory he could give to his fragile little ego, LTG walked up to Viscant and demanded he call him a bitch to his face, and Viscant did. Very quick correction, guys, the pre-show was actually where Viscant walked up to LTG. This means that probably that entire Street Fighter 4 set, Low Tier God was probably thinking about this shit the entire time. Man.
It's garbage. I mean, I can't put it any more simple than that. Usually when money match, you have respect for the other guy. They put up their money, they're gonna play you, they're putting themselves on the line. He's not putting anything on the line. Like, he's an attention whore. All he wants is attention. So win or lose, he gets attention. You know, he's not putting anything on the line. He's free rolling this. That's a bitch move. He said I wouldn't call him that to his face. Wherever you are, you're a bitch.
You said it, say it to my face right now.
All right.
You can't hear it because the crowd is shouting, but you can literally see Viscount's lips saying, "You're a bitch." Twice now in the exact same place, LTG was proven wrong and had his ego destroyed in front of literally everyone. After this event, people started to see Low Tier God in a more negative light, as it was exposed how immature, unwilling, and unable he is to back up what he spouts out from his mouth. Later on, it would be uncovered just how disgusting of a person Low Tier God was, as evidence came to light that he likes to dox people who are critical of him, and is in fact a homophobe, a transphobe, an ableist, and most damning of all, a racist. A racist towards other black people, his own race. I personally wanted to highlight the most LTG's racism because I think that's the biggest place where he's the most hypocritical, but I'm gonna have to censor all of these clips. Now, I'll be leaving up some funny iPhone emojis so you can kind of take a guess at what he's saying. They're not very good. They're very offensive.
Grabbing him, you fucking sit your bitch ass down. I'm gonna talk some sense into you. Choke him damn near to motherfucking unconsciousness and grab the top of his ass fro while I'm choking his ass out and pulling his motherfucking neck over my forearm, grabbing his fro for leverage, and ask him, what is your problem? What is your problem, black man? What is your problem? Why you hating on me, you black ass? What is your problem? This is a fucking scrub. Fucking ass. Could tell you black playing with this character. That wasn't talking shit, I dead ass would have not quit. But this black ass had, excuse my French, this black ass legitimately.
It's so beautifully ironic that he was willing to brand Viscount a racist just for saying black, and then he's surprised when people find out that he's the biggest hypocrite on the internet. Don't feel bad for this guy, he is not a good person. And these are just the things that I can just rattle off immediately. There's other things he's done, obviously, that require a lot more context. I can bet you've seen one of them, the video where he's all like, "You should yourself now." There's also the time he watched someone blow their brains out and thought it was funny. Not the reaction I would have, but go off, King. The fact that to this day there are people who defend him is very strange to me. Don't be an LTG defender. He is not a very good person, and I can tell you for sure that he does not give a shit about you. Nobody's perfect, but I mean, holy fucking shit, man. I mean, if this is the guy you're simping for, you can do so much better, man. You could do so much better. LTG would be banned from going to EVO and was recently banned from streaming on Twitch. Low Tier God is said to be pursuing an acting career, but with an entire archive of everything he's done so easily accessible on the internet, landing that kind of job will be very, very difficult. The story of Low Tier God is a message to everyone. It's just a video game. Don't be a punk and don't go starting some shit over it. Oh, and obviously don't be a homophobe, transphobe, racist, or anything that LTG is.
I look like I work at Pizza Hut. Because I look like I work at Pizza Hut, I'm gonna go ahead, grab one of the empty boxes that are in my motherfucking stove. Because I always keep an empty, you know, an empty pizza box just for the fuck.
Number 2, a man and his Blanca-chan. Allow me to introduce you to Yoshinori Ono, who's actually come up in this top 10 earlier. Ono was one of the veteran Capcom employees up to a few years ago. Ono actually got his start as an audio engineer, but managed to work his way up to a leadership position at the company. Ono's history at Capcom is very divisive, as many see him as the reason Street Fighter was so great, and part of how it all went so downhill. Ono would eventually become the producer of Street Fighter 4 and was responsible for many of the things that Street Fighter fans loved about that game. There were other aspects of Street Fighter 4 that some weren't so enthusiastic about, like the cartoonish elements and the poorly aging art style, but the general consensus of Street Fighter 4 was that it was a very good fighting game, and it ended up creating an entire new generation of fighting game fans, including me. I'm an O9er. Ono himself was a massive fan of the series, and he loved characters like Armika and especially Blanca. His entire office is decorated with Blanca memorabilia, and Ono is believed to have a genuine crush on certain female Street Fighter characters. One day, Ono-sama was left with a bunch of Blanca toys on his desk and he didn't know what to do with them. This started the trend of Ono grabbing a Blanca toy and taking one wherever he went. He would travel the entire world with a little Blanca, never being seen without one.
その十数年前に山のようにあったブランカもですね、今や僕の手元にあるのは3体しかありません。違います。もう忘れてただけです。だからちゃんと中の飛行機の冊子を見て、あ、今日の映画何見ようかなって言った時にこれをその中にポイッと入れてね、でそのまま降りちゃったりとかしてるので、本当にもう今それが絶対なくしちゃダメなので、もう今お尻がこんなになるぐらいまで使って丁寧に今持ち歩いていってますと。
Ono would then inherit leadership over Street Fighter V thanks to the stellar performance of Street Fighter IV. However, this would turn out to spark some mischief in the Street Fighter community. After the insanely chaotic and unimpressive launch of Street Fighter V, Ono was demoted due to the poor performance of the game in retail, which Capcom believed was partially his fault with the direction he was taking the game. Not that many people were buying Street Fighter V, and the ones that did felt genuinely robbed by Capcom, coughing up a whole $60 or more for a fighting game with dysfunctional online gameplay complemented by almost zero single-player content for years to come. Many were unimpressed with the watercolor art style, which seemed like an uncanny evolution of the ink style from Street Fighter IV, something they believed Ono had a hand in. While never confirmed, rumors would also spur that Ono wanted Street Fighter V to be a more aggressive game and commanded that more input lag be injected into the game to discourage highly defensive play. It didn't help that later it came out that Ono replaced the old battle director for Street Fighter IV with a completely different person, solely because he wanted his wrestling waifu in the game. This negativity bled into the previous game, which Ono was also in a leadership position over. Many started to say that Ono's philosophy was ruining Street Fighter since Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and believed that he was responsible for the messy launch of that game too. Some of these were confirmed, while some were not, but regardless, many still believed it. Later on, disaster would hit Street Fighter V after launch repeatedly, again and again, each time subsequently resulting in Ono getting demoted several times, until he had left Capcom for good half a decade after Street Fighter V launched. After Ono's departure, the game was given a skeleton crew who single-handedly fixed all of the problems Street Fighter V had within just a year. This further strengthened people's belief that Ono was in fact ruining the game, because once he left, the game all of a sudden started to get good. It's not entirely clear how much or how little of Street Fighter V's failure was Ono's fault, but a sect of the Street Fighter fan base believed that he was responsible for the various problems that plagued Street Fighter V, from input lag to the horrible art style, the Armika's slap, Yuri's jumpsuit, the dysfunctional netcode, the half-baked story, the bad character roster of only 16. Ono was the scapegoat for everything, even if he couldn't have possibly been the cause for all of it. Many still see Ono in a positive light and are very appreciative of his work, but just as many also saw Ono as the reason Street Fighter died until the launch of Street Fighter VI. Regardless of what you believe, one thing is for sure, Ono had a big hand to play in the world of Street Fighter. He revolutionized the genre, even if he arguably killed it down the line. Big ups to Yoshinori Ono-sama. He will be missed. Number 1. The worst anti-cheat ever conceived. This next fun fact is one that just pissed off everyone. It's not even like there's a positive side to this one. The scandal was that big that everyone hated it instantly. During Street Fighter V's time on the market, the game got an update. It was an update that added in a DLC character, Urien, but it also added in a proprietary driver that was used as a means of anti-cheat. I mean, sounds good, right? What could possibly be so bad about that? Oh man, holy shit. Well, this driver was installed in such a way that would allow any malicious software that may already be present on your computer to take full and total control over your device. I'm not going to go too technical on the details here, but this driver temporarily shuts down some of the crucial security features of Windows. While these features are shut down, it would run a few lines of code and then re-enable them. That opening can be used by malicious software to access kernel-level privileges over Windows. In layman's terms, it will have complete control over your entire fucking computer. Who the fuck thought this was a good idea? Everyone. I mean, everyone at this point was already mad at Capcom for one reason or another, and this was just the icing on the cake. This was what really set people off. It was literally unsafe for your computer if you wanted to play Street Fighter now. Some had immediately uninstalled the game and swore to never play it again, while some are still paranoid to this day that they might still have the driver on their system. Some people blamed Ono, cause of fucking course they did. For many, this made the game entirely unplayable on their machines, and for even more people, this was just another meme at the expense of Street Fighter V. Just another example of the absolute shit show that this game was turning into. Capcom immediately had to address this publicly and roll the update back. I don't even have any proof or anything, but I'd like to imagine that this was mostly because Microsoft gave them a ring. I like to think that Microsoft was not very happy about some random computer game having access to fucking Ring Zero on their OS. Of course, this was later patched out and it's not an issue today, but some were wondering why Capcom even included it in the first place. I mean, did anyone even proofread this shit? Remember, somebody was paid to write that. In short, yes, at some point in history, Street Fighter V installed a fucking rootkit to your computer. That's a disturbing thought.
Hello everyone, it's your fellow Rainin Noodles, and I'm wearing a women's shirt right now. As a matter of fact, here's fun fact number 11 for you. I bought this shirt off of Hot Topic, off of fucking Hot Topic of all places. It is called Street Fighter Group Tie-Dye Boyfriend Fit Girls T-Shirt. It's a shirt for women, designed to fit men. Jokes aside, everyone, I hope you really enjoyed the video. I tried to talk about some things I don't see people talking about too much. You know, if you're like a veteran Street Fighter player, odds are you've heard about some of this stuff, but hopefully, just hopefully, there was something you haven't heard before. And if you're a new player, I mean, I hope this shit was as crazy as I thought it was. I can remember the first time I learned about half of this shit, and man, it was... It's a crazy fucking story out there, okay? Street Fighter's got some insane fucking lore. You know, whether you look at all the characters or like the professional players, and literally anything to do with these fucking games, the reason there's inputs in like the first place is like some sort of crazy fucking story. There's not a normal thing when it comes to Street Fighter. I don't fucking know how that's possible. It's not like Resident Evil or anything else. It's just pure fucking insanity when it comes to Street Fighter, and it's why I love it so goddamn much. I briefly wanted to apologize for this video taking so long to make. First of all, the video itself was a pain in the ass to edit. Those little transitional animations you saw, those took a lot more work than you would think they would. They took a lot more work than I thought they would. And also, just like, as they say, life happens, and yeah, a lot of life happens. I can't promise the next video will be out anytime soon, given kind of the situation I'm in right now. If you're new here, I mean, that's totally possible, because I've been getting a lot of new subscribers lately. I've been getting quite a lot of them, actually. I just wanted to say, man, if you're new, big ups to you. This is where I give a shout out to all the new guys. Everybody congratulate them. Big ups to...
These are all of the people who have their subscriptions set to public, so if you're wondering why you didn't get one, just let me know in the comments down below. That's probably the reason why. I had a lot of people this time around, but many of them were private, so just letting you guys know, if you want one, that's how you do it. OJM Gaming, Joseph Hampton, Sean Nolan, Heck Juan, Nick Schubert, That Guy John 95, Excel 86J, Maria... Oh, God, you had to throw a tough one at me. Marius Fjortoft, I don't know. Nathan Lamontagne, oh, fucking hell, man. Nathan Lamontagne. There, I hope that's correct. Feel free to correct me. A lot of my viewers are outside the US, so I better get used to saying these tough ones, man.
I forgot to mention that Resident Evil video you guys subscribed for. The sequel's coming. Sequel, I'm working on it right now. Sequel's coming. Just maybe not anytime soon, but it's coming.
Dude, first my camera's up to some hijinks and then this falls over. The whole thing I just recorded. Come on. Do you want your name at the end of my videos? Well, you're in luck, because the easiest way to do that is to become a followy. What's a followy? It's like a groupie following a rock star, except there's no drugs and there's no sex. It's more fun than it sounds, I promise. But yeah, you could become my next followy by helping out Chun-Li and hitting that subscribe button. I make content on everything Capcom, and I think my videos are pretty fun. I hope you can agree. All that being said, I wish you all have a good one. Street Fighter 6 is out now. Go get yourself some ranked matches, man. I hope you get an easy rank up. Hopefully you don't run into too many Wi-Fi Blankas. My ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, have a good night. Peace.